The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max, Monday Night Raw, review.
Welcome everyone to the Wrestling to the Max Raw Review, the September 26th, 2016 edition, and boy do we have one for you today. If you're listening to us and this is the first time, hey, we come every Monday night and we review Raw and SmackDown on Tuesday, so never miss a review. Hey, come check us out on the W2M Network and also on W2Mnet.com. Those are the places you can find us every week, and plus our normal Wrestling to the Max shows twice a week as well. Enough delaying, guys. Let's talk some Monday Night Raw.
Do you guys know where this Raw was at?
This was actually...
According to what you gave me, I think it was Memphis?
That was last week. I didn't put it in there.
Yay!
They were in...
They're somewhere.
Where were they last night?
They were in Indianapolis, I thought, last night.
Yeah, so they're probably somewhere in the Midwest, wherever they are. I'll find it out as we go along here, so that we don't do those people some wrong or anything. But you know what, guys? They actually started off the show with a match, for God's sakes. I can't believe it, Gary.
Yeah, they did. And you know what? I want to say this, the reason I think they did this is because of all the things that are taking place on the same night, same time slot that Monday Night Raw is on the air. And not only do you have the presidential debates, but you have Monday Night Football on, and that is really going to affect the ratings. So they came out and said, you know what? No talking. McFoley, you did enough for 6 episodes last week in one segment. So we're going to go ahead and let this thing start off with some wrestling. And boy, some interesting wrestling, because Roman Reigns took on Rusev for the U.S. title, and these guys went at it, and this actually got some time. It really did. They did a pretty good job. I think I like this match pretty close to, or maybe even better than what we got from Clash of Champions. You guys, as you read through the review, I'm trying to remember if this was a no holds barred match, because we had some chairs being used in this match, and that was almost an equalizer at times for Rusev. But at the end of the day, Rusev does get speared, and the 1, 2, 3 happens. Roman Reigns is your new U.S. champion. We thought it might happen at Clash of Champions. It didn't. It actually happened here on Monday Night Raw. Different things took place. Rusev used a chair. Lana pulled the referee out of the ring. But no matter what, despite all that, Rusev lost his championship, and here we are now. Roman Reigns is your new U.S. champion. I guess you got to be happy that at least this happened, because that must have been what they were trying to lead up to tonight.
Don't know why you wouldn't do it on the actual pay-per-view, though. Like, it's mind-boggling.
I agree with you, but at least they didn't waste our time. I felt like if they wouldn't have done this, they completely wasted our time at Clash of Champions. Completely.
Yeah. I don't. I see what you're saying there. It's it just doesn't feel like they're building for pay-per-view anymore, though. They're just building the next Raw, and you happen to get an extra one every Sunday once in a blue moon.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Sean? How do you feel about this as Roman Reigns is your new U.S. champion?
Well, it is what it is. We talked about Roman Reigns needed to be out of that picture, right? So this would be good for him. I don't like the fact that we had to build the whole Clash of Champions around Roman Reigns winning. But he was the only title change that happened, so that that's what you remember. Whatever, Look, the match was what it was. I don't like the fact that we're just doing rematches already on Raw, but again, like I said when we talked about the pay-per-view and what Paul just said, this is just backing up, backing up the whole thing. They're booking for this show, and to be fair, like what you said earlier, they had so much competition going on, they had to stack the deck here.
Yeah, because you got to think about it. As Twitter is going on, and maybe someone's watching the presidential debate and not watching Raw, which maybe they usually watch Raw. Twitter is going crazy, maybe with the people that are watching Raw and saying Roman Reigns just became the new U.S. champion, which may make you tune back into Raw and say, you know what, I can catch this debate probably later. That's what they were hoping, at least. I don't know if that happened.
Yeah, I don't know if it happened either. Like, the Monday night game was high scoring, so people were watching that. The debate apparently was insane to watch just because of, the amount of stupid they like to fling around, so.
Agreed. Oh, this is ridiculous. But anyway, we're not a political show. I won't get into the annoying things that happen. But what else do we have on this show, Sean?
Yeah, moving the show on. Oh, this show was from the U.S. Bank Arena in Cincinnati, Ohio. Just to clear that up here. And SmackDown tomorrow will be from Cleveland, so Miz and Dolph both from there. Should be interesting. Dolph already promising some big stuff, so we'll see if that's SmackDown. I should also note that I may not be available for that SmackDown. Just putting that out there for people. That's when I have to go do the visitation of my grandpa, and it might be these two guys doing the SmackDown instead of me. So, going along here, they actually didn't. They came out. Mick Foley came out and talked about basically the decision that they're making in the Sheamus and Cesaro match here. And I mean, what did you think about this? How they dealt with this? And basically, and said, I swore that this was for a Universal title match, but I guess not. It's gonna be for a tag team title shot, with Sheamus and Cesaro being a tag team.
This is very interesting, and the way this all went down was we had, Mick Foley bring out both guys and talk to them about what a war they went through at Clash of Champions, how he cannot give them a 8th match. He says because he can't afford to lose these guys. He says, if I give you an 8th match, I'm going to lose one of you guys for a long time because you got one of you guys is going to be on the shelf after an injury. He says, but what I think is best is to give you guys a chance to be a tag team because you guys are so great. He goes, I've seen plenty of tag teams over the years, so the two guys hated each other, but once they got in the ring as a tag team, they dominated, and they become one of the best, tag teams in the company.
And that wasn't even in that segment. That was a bad segment later, so it's like...
Yeah.
That part that could have also been explained in that segment. You're right.
Was
said
I'm
later. No, it's not you. It's just it's that they didn't do a good job of using the live segment very well, because whatever he said, what you just explained there that he said in the best segment later should have been said.
Yeah, you know what he actually said in the first part. He goes, "Well, guys, you guys." Something about, you guys had a great match, but why don't you guys team up against this team, whoever wins the next tag team match? That's basically what he said. So everybody's looking around. Cesaro and Sheamus are like, what? Why? So, yeah, you're exactly right. I explained it because I squashed it together, but you're right, Sean, completely. Mick Foley, they didn't set it up well. In fact, as a viewer, as you're watching that, you're just like, why are they doing this? Makes no sense. These guys don't even belong in that whole realm of tag team. But anyway, now you kind of get the gist.
Yeah, and you also had Stephanie and Foley running each other down, and Stephanie, of course, having to do her cutting balls off special, where she basically made Foley feel bad because, he didn't do his job with Cesaro and Sheamus. Even though Stephanie also had things that didn't make her look good either on that night, especially with the referee and everything. But yeah, and of course you have the squash with Sheamus and Cesaro as well. What did you think of all this, Paul?
For me, I'm just still sort of flabbergasted that they're not following through with giving either man a Universal title shot, and they're throwing him in the tag division. I think this is absolutely insane. But they are sort of a featured thing throughout this entire show, so maybe it's a little give and take here. But it's just, they squash jobbers and whatever Sheamus and Cesaro do, and I don't know. I'm not entirely enthused with this turn of events.
No, it is not enthusiastic at all. And, what was confusing is, when Mick Foley announced I thought he had said, you guys are going to face the next tag team, whoever wins the next match. It wasn't. They faced jobbers and squashed those guys and won, which, that was kind of comical in a way because, basically Sheamus came out and bro-kicked both guys and looked at Cesaro because Cesaro already had it pretty much ready. He was about to do the neutralizer, and Sheamus made the save, but at the same time, you still bro-kicked both guys. So at the end of the day, you're going to have that whole, stare down every time, and eventually they're going to love each other and do whatever they do, but it still just felt weird. It felt really weird. And not only that, once again, we had that tag team match with, the New Day facing off against the Club again, and, guess what? Any big surprise, guys? Gallows and Anderson lose.
God, why? Why are they here? Why are they in WWE if they're just going to constantly lose and usually look bad doing so? I mean, again, maybe they're trying to go for the stupid record with New Day. This is the only thing I can understand of why they're doing this, but the New Day have had their time with the titles. They don't need them. Just move them to somebody else so you can establish other people besides New Day, and you don't need to waste an Enzo and Cass against New Day match this early for a dumb pay-per-view like Hell in a Cell. That needs to happen at a bigger event like WrestleMania or something. Just, I don't get it.
I'm struggling to find a reason why you brought Anderson and Gallows over too. They've done nothing but lose. They've added very little to your product, and it's because you simply mishandled him the entire way when they could have been something great and a breath of fresh air and all these other things that could have been awesome for your tag team division. And as much as I enjoy the New Day, there comes a time when this title run has to end and you have to move on and try to find some way to keep them entertaining outside the championship scene, and they seem to want to refuse to do that. In lieu of, because I think Anderson and Gallows and Enzo and Cass was going to be a good feud for the tag titles, but they apparently don't want to go that way, and if you don't do Enzo and Cass, who else do you have in that tag team division for the New Day to even feud with? Unless this is the reason why you have Cesaro and Sheamus teaming up now.
Oh yeah, they're going to get the next title shot. That's what Cesaro and Sheamus are a team, because they probably realized, oh crap, we have no more tag teams for New Day to face because we don't want to blow Enzo and Cass right away. And, let's just do Cesaro and Sheamus. Now, I'm fine with adding more depth to the tag division, but it's just, I would point out that Daniel Bryan has officially gone on Twitter and asked when Cesaro's Raw contract ends because he wants him on SmackDown. So, don't know if that's going to be a storyline or anything, but just pointing that out, that has officially now been said. But I don't know. Yeah. This whole thing's weird.
It is. It's to me a little bit out there, and I'm not thrilled with it. The Club, Gallows and Anderson, those guys deserve so much more. I'm holding out hope, and it's probably me wishing in one hand and crapping in the other, but I really hope that they actually do have a plan for the Club down the line somewhere. Maybe they are putting to them this whole, hey, we're going to tear you down, get rid of that whole the fact that you are awesome in New Japan. That way we can build you up here, and you're our success. It has nothing to do with Japan. It's all about the fact that you got success in WWE. I think maybe, hopefully, that's part of it. I don't know. Anyway, at the end of the day, we'll see with the tag team stuff. But before we move on, I do want to touch base on what Sean was talking about earlier about Mick Foley and Stephanie. And it was, once again, cut the balls off Stephanie move. And here we go. You got Mick Foley really just questioning her, questioning her about the video that we saw in, WWE.com where she saw Triple H at the end of Clash of Champions and kissed him, and the show was great, and so Mick Foley's basically saying you knew all the stuff that was going to happen with Kevin Owens. No one helped. Seth Rollins, Jericho freely got involved. All this other stuff took place, and you just left. But once again, she has good reasons, to be honest with you. If you listen to her reasons, she says, Mick Foley, it was your job to take the care of the show. You didn't need to go see Cesaro and Sheamus in the medical center. You're not a doctor. I hired you to be a GM. So I do like that. I actually, to be honest with you, as much as I hate Stephanie doing this to guys, her points were very valid. And I appreciated that. Usually you hear Stephanie use things that you're just like, shut up. I'll be honest with you guys. Everything she said, point on, right on. So I wasn't disgusted by this like I usually am. So there you go.
Fair enough. So we move on to finding out that Ashton Kutcher and Danny Masterson will be on Raw next week to confront Chris Jericho. Oh man, that's exactly...
Oh, sorry. You mentioned some names I don't care about, but go ahead, continue.
Of course, these are guys. Of course, Ashton Kutcher. You probably know from outside that '70s show, but of course he's from that, and Danny Masterson as well. That being said, Seth Rollins does have a rib injury he suffered from Clash of Champions. It's being reported on WWE.com, so I don't know if it's legit, and they were sort of trying to make it part of a storyline because it's an injury that is not, too serious, but it also really does hurt, so, it is kind of what it is, but they did have a highlight reel, basically, for Jericho to introduce Kevin Owens, and you have a highlight reel with Owens on there, and Owens basically talks about how he took out the most dangerous guy in WWE. And of course, Rollins came out, but Foley was saying, okay, well, I don't want you out here because you're not medically cleared. And then Enzo and Cass come out, and they do their stuff, and they make a main event for later with Jericho, Kevin Owens, and Enzo and Cass, which ended the night, of course, and it seems like it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was interesting, and they had the whole Jericho-tron thing. They were talking about the new Jericho-tron. That was kind of comical, all that. But at the end of the day, this gets everything done in one little package, and Seth Rollins, of course, can't get involved even though he comes out. That makes sense, okay? So you don't have him in the ring at all, but he at least gets to make an appearance that makes the crowd pop. Enzo and Kaz is just a fun little way to, get a match at the final part of the show, but not only that, get some interaction, because, the crowd's going to love Enzo and Kaz no matter what. They could come out there and just cut a Papa John's promotion, and commercial, and people would be thrilled just to have him out there. So that's good. I'm glad they picked the right tag team to face off against, Owens and Jericho. That's all good. I mean, besides that, this is nothing spectacular. You get what you get, of course, Owens and Jericho winning. But, needless to say, Kevin Owens is doing good as champion. I like what he had to say backstage in an interview with, not interview, but with Mick Foley and Stephanie. I enjoyed that. Even Seth Rollins did his own stuff with them, and they both did a great job. So, at the end of the day, this is not a bad way to end the show.
I don't know if I'm a fan of Enzo and Cass losing again, but certainly they really need to. If you have a weak tag division, the least you can do is feed all those teams to Enzo and Cass and make them look strong and wait in the wings while whatever they're going to do with the New Day and the club and Sheamus and Cesaro finishes out. But I mean, at least Jericho and Owens, they were great here. I loved the Talk is Jericho segment. I thought it was great. And I mean, Kevin Owens and Jericho, they're killing it together. They're doing an amazing job.
Certainly. Jericho is honestly on probably one of his best runs ever. I think if you think about his total body of work there, with everything. And we do have the women having a segment here with Charlotte coming out to talk to the crowd and saying that, Sasha and Bayley are great, but she beat them. And, everybody thinks that whoever comes next is going to beat Charlotte, but she always wins. And so both... I think Sasha came out to sort of make her claim that she deserves her one-on-one rematch, and Charlotte says, well, that's fine, but you'll have it next week, because I don't want you crying to Mick Foley. And then Sasha got to look strong. So, yeah, I mean, I thought this was a good segment overall. And you set your title match up for next week, but again, the match happening on Raw, and... that seems like we're already doing this. What is this, the third time already?
Yeah. It seems like it, doesn't it? It's kind of repetitious. But, I don't have anything bad to say about this, I guess. I will say that they gave you Bayley in a squash match earlier. She got to squash somebody. And then, you move on and you get this whole segment. It all works. It all makes sense. But I to be honest with you, this felt so much like the background of this show. It really didn't feel that special. This happened later in the show, so maybe that was what it was. But it just did not feel like that strong of a segment, to be honest with you. And it is nothing to discredit what Charlotte was doing, because I'll be honest with you, Charlotte has been the best promo out of all three. To be honest with you, even if, of course, better than Dana too, if you want to do the fourth. So I am very thrilled to say that. I thought Sasha Banks was going to be the one who cut the best promo, but no, Charlotte is definitely the most believable. You feel it, you understand it, where she's coming from. Sasha did fine, but I just think that Charlotte's doing the best job. But overall, I mean, you get a picture of what they want to do. They did their job. I just didn't think it was all that thrilling this week with the women.
I thought this was really good. I thought both women were strong in their delivery. The point and the material was all very focused. I'll give you that they might have placed it poorly, because it does, whenever you look at the overall show, it's just sort of smashed in the middle. But I think I'm really looking forward to this title match again. They killed it the last time they were on Raw. And I don't know if they're going to do a title change again or not, to be honest. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte ends up getting ran over by Nia or something like that. But
wow, that would be pretty interesting. I would love to see that. That would be so awesome. But, I've questioned if they're willing to do that just yet. But I would love to see it. Don't get me wrong. So.
Yeah, and then the only thing we haven't touched on still is the Cruiserweights. And they had 2 Cruiserweight matches on this show. And TJ Perkins also got to have a nice little backstage segment as well. You had Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann, because, you can't have interracial tag teams in WWE, apparently. Which, honestly, might have been the best time to possibly do one, considering the stuff that's going on in the world right now. But, of course, WWE, they only pay attention to what's going on in the world when it suits them. They don't. They act like the world doesn't exist when they want to. So you have Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann against Lince Dorado and Drew Gulak. I guess you do get your sort of mixed ethnicity tag team there. And, it was a pretty good tag match there. It goes 8 minutes. I don't know that you can, maybe you shouldn't have had them be going 8 minutes in a tag team, but at least they kind of put more effort into the second one with the champion, of course. and him going against Tony Nese. This was a really, really good match. And the only thing is the crowd, of course. They were being stupid. And, I don't know if this is a problem because of the way that they presented TJ Perkins last week, where he wasn't even on the show, and he's your champion, then he retains it at Clash of Champions, and so now you're sort of introducing him to everybody, and it's like, I don't know if that's the problem, or just this crowd just didn't care, or they were just being obnoxious to be obnoxious, but those guys went out there and killed themselves, and you guys are just chanting Randy Savage and CM Punk, and like, you know what? Fuck you. Like, it's just, that's so stupid. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I can't say I really understand it either. I do enjoy WWE changed the presentation back to sort of what they were doing with the CWC, which I very much appreciate them at least trying to make it stick out some more. And
which we didn't make that note for Clash of Champions, but they did change the ring ropes to purple and everything during the pay-per-view, which was nice.
Yeah.
Which, seriously, they did that really fast, too.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to get that down to an art for all this, especially if they're going to continue to do multiple matches for them throughout a Raw. But yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot. I thought, Cedric and Lindsay and all those guys in the tag match, I think that match honestly would have been better if they placed that commercial better, or maybe not had one. Because it started off like hot fire, and then by the time they take a commercial and you come back and you're sort of deflated. And then I thought Perkins and I'm blanking already. Jesus.
Nese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a giant Tony Nese. No, it's Tony Nese. That's next week.
Oh, Tony Nese. Okay.
Perkins is defending the belt against Kendrick next week too. But this was good. I thought, especially I'm not a giant Nese fan, and he was good in this.
Yeah, he was, and I enjoyed him as well. I think that he's definitely got some, super great, potential there. If you ask me, in the future, he'll probably be one of those guys we'll be talking about quite a bit. But yeah, just this tag match, I love the fact that they gave Dorado a little vignette. That way people can understand who he is, what he's about. I love that Cedric Alexander and Swan got a chance to kind of cut a little promo, just kind of get ready for this match. So you kind of get a little goofy stuff from them, but it helps the crowd. Maybe, say these guys are cool. They're like me, things like that to kind of connect with the audience. So I think that tag match was fine. I enjoyed it. Heck, I enjoyed the Tony Nese match with TJ Perkins. So it was all great stuff. To me personally, the Cruiserweights didn't miss a beat. I think they did an excellent job. And I want to say, and I didn't talk about this at Clash of Champions when we were talking about that, but I just loved TJP's music, man. Just that retro video game, 16-bit, whatever it is. I love that music.
That was it's awesome. I love it. The sort of like Mega Man theme you got going there with the Titantron, just it's freaking great. And hopefully it appeals to people, because obviously video games are what they are. It's retro. It's totally into that nerddom thing, and I just really hope that as the weeks go on, people actually pay attention to these matches and care. I know WWE hasn't done the best things to make you care about these guys. Maybe they could do more, but that's just really, really sorry for that crowd to crap on a match where two guys were really putting it out there, and you're just crapping on them before they even really gave a shot to entertain you. And, you're just, you ask for change, then when you get change, you act like imbeciles. So then you wonder why you get the same storyline that you've had for 20 years, and you're going to keep getting it, because anytime you get something different, you reject it.
Yep. I agree. And, like Sean said,
Thank God they don't do this to the women, because could you imagine?
Oh boy! Imagine the chance that they would come from their mouths.
No, not just that. Just imagine if they did this to the women too, and we couldn't even have the good women's matches because they're going nuts about that. Just. I mean, it might have been just the time they'd already seen one match and they didn't feel like seeing another one, or just it came in a dead spot during the show and they just whatever. But I'm sorry, it just bugs me.
I mean, it's not like they've been given a whole lot to cheer about at this point either.
That's true, but they put on a heck of a match the night before too, so it's just. But again, I guess that's all for Raw. We might as well we need to give it a rating here.
Yeah, this was not a terrible show at all. I enjoyed it for the most part. I looked at it as, we basically just rehashing some of the stuff we got in Clash of Champions, just maybe getting a little finality. Overall, Cruiserweight was fine. I'm going to go with a 6. I think a 7 is good, but I wasn't completely thrilled with everything. I'll go with a 6.
I'm going 5. A lot of what we got on this show, I wasn't a fan of. Some of your choices, like your booking choices from WWE on Raw, just continue to astound me. I'm excited for next week, though. You got a women's title match and a cruiserweight title match. Hopefully both of those will help out the show and maybe give it a little bit more to keep you entertained with, but this one just had nothing for me, really.
I'll go with that rating as well. A 5 makes most. I kind of agree with Paul. It didn't really have nothing that just totally grabs you and go, okay, I wanted to really watch this. No.
Mm-hmm. Well, fair enough. Well, that is our Raw review, guys. We will, of course, be doing a SmackDown live review. Come check that out. That'll be live right after SmackDown happens. And, of course, we'll be checking out part 2 of Wrestling to the Max when we'll be doing it on Thursday night. That'll be available for you Friday on the download. Of course, once again, go to join the W2M network if you're not already a part of it. Also, go look at W2Mnet.com. Trust me, lots of great stuff to go look at there. If you haven't gone, go visit now. Anyway, besides that, we are getting out of here. So one last thing. If you're not living life to the max.
No, Sean. That's unfortunate. You're not living life at all.
I guess peace.
Not living life at all.
There
you
go.
know it.
Wow.
There it is. Later, guys.
Later.
I said it. It's just apparently Skype is terrible.
Well,
we apologize. We apologize because everybody was cutting out during that.
Yeah, it's bad. Bad stuff.
Awesome. But God bless you, Skype. Have a good night, everybody.
Later.
The following podcast
we were
is a W2M Network
cutting
original
out
production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.